All right, we are now live.
Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Roney, and I'm filling in as the chair for Vice Mayor Kilgore as the chair of the Boards and Commissions Committee today. I'd like to welcome you to the March 12th remote meeting. All council committee members and staff are participating virtually. To help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud. We're streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone. For those of you out there with us today, welcome. For today's meeting, we have the option for people to call in and comment live during the meeting. To call in and comment live, use the same number, 855-925-2801, meeting code 9478. That's 855-925-2801, meeting code 9478. Your phone will be muted and you'll hear the meeting live. At this point, speakers will need to push *3 to enter the speaker queue. I'll now go through and introduce all the committee members and staff who are participating virtually. Council and staff, as I call your name, please say a quick hello. Councilwoman Antoinette Mosley.
Good afternoon.
Assistant City Manager Ben Woody.
Good afternoon.
Deputy City Clerk Sarah Gross.
Good afternoon.
Assistant City Clerk Jared Goldberg.
Good afternoon.
We'll also have staff and chair of Civic Center Commission joining us today, who I'll ask that they introduce themselves on their upcoming item. First, can I get a motion to approve the January 9th minutes?
So moved.
And I'll second. And we'll have a roll call vote. Councilwoman Mosley?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Next, I'll open it up for public comment. Do we have any speakers in the queue?
No speakers in the queue currently.
Okay. So we'll move on to new business on the agenda. Our first item of business is to hear a request from the Civic Center Commission to amend their establishing ordinance and change the commission's name. I'll turn it over to Chris Corral, Department of Community and Regional Entertainment Facilities, and John Ellis, Chair of the Civic Center Commission, for more information.
Hi, good afternoon. Chris Corral with the Community and Regional Entertainment Facilities, and I'll let John Ellis introduce himself whenever he steps in here. So I'm going to run through a quick PowerPoint and then give John a chance to speak and then answer any questions y'all have. So let me get my screen shared here. Okay. So we're here today to talk about the Civic Center Commission's ordinance and amending it, including the name change potential for the commission. The mission of the Civic Center Commission currently is the purpose of the Asheville Civic Center Commission is to serve the Asheville City Council and the community at large regarding the growth and development of the Asheville Civic Center and Thomas Wolfe Auditorium. We have 8 current board members, John Ellis serving as chair and John Pierce, who's not here today, as the vice chair. Our one vacant seat that we do have is a county seat, which they currently have advertised. And Maggie Allman is our city council liaison. So while we're updating, a good bit of housekeeping inside the ordinances between name changes from our sponsorship changes, adjustments back in 2020, but also Pack Place, for example, is referenced in our ordinance, and there's a few other just small housekeepings within it. The main reason is related to our staff side department scope expansion. So in January of 2022, as many of you are aware, the then Harris Cherokee Center in Community and Economic Development and Outdoor Special Events and Community Economic Development merged with a few facilities that came from Parks and Rec to form the Community and Regional Entertainment Facilities Department. And when that happened, some of these other entities no longer had like a reporting scope up through a given city council board or commission. And so then tied with that is the expanding scope to include advisory roles over these new department facilities. And John could speak a little bit later as to what really caused this initially to come up in conversation in the group. So the proposed ordinance revisions Housekeeping updates include changing from U.S. Cellular Center to Harris Cherokee Center, Pack Place Performing Arts, Asheville Art Museum, etc. Working as the Wortham Center for the Performing Arts now. And Asheville Civic Center is referenced quite frequently, and adjusting that to community entertainment facilities. And public art definition, it can include, but is not limited to, murals, sculptures, memorials, community art, digital new media, and performances and festivals, as long as it's located within public space and open to the public, which is in the details of the attached staff report. So timeline, the commission has been talking about this for a solid year now, back and forth in different revisions, working with Janice and our legal department, but approved the final version, if you will, in February of 2024, the proposed ordinance updates, and ratified them as the commission. The goal is to bring them to this committee here in March, and hopefully in April, bring forward to City Council to make official. And with that, we get to questions, but I wanted to give John a chance to kind of speak to the history of where we got, or how we got here, and the feelings of the commission itself. So John, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Chris. My name is John Ellis, despite it saying Ashley Ellis underneath, which is my daughter's name. And as I said, I think she was the last to log on with Google. First of all, I want to commend the city staff for within the report to council and in the resolution for capturing a great deal of our discussions over the year. This started out obviously recognizing the synergies and the commonalities between all the various entities which now comprise the new department in terms of selling things to the public, having earned revenue, sponsorships, etc. Many of the same things that we deal with at the Civic Center Commission. We also recognize that each of these new areas also have an organization with which they deal. The Friends of the Nature Center, Friends of Municipal Golf Course, ABYSA at John B. Lewis, and leaseholders such as McCormick Field. And so we don't want to supplant what they do in that relationship with the city. But we recognized in our discussion, and due to the composition of the Civic Center Commission and the expertise on that, it was very natural that discussion started to evolve about the other departments, the other constituent organizations within the departments. And what kind of prompted this request was about 2 years ago, the Nature Center and it was the soccer field. Was it soccer fields, Chris? I'm sorry, which?
Golf course and
It was a municipal golf course. And the Nature Center, through the city, we're making an application to the Buncombe County Tourism Development Authority under their Tourism Product Development Fund. And the commission passed a resolution in support of this application in hopes of strengthening it. And the response from the city was, well, that's not within your purview. And therefore, it was not a part of the recommendation to the TDA for this. And so that kind of formatted the idea that perhaps Chris, as the head of this department, should have the ability to come to the commission to seek our advice and counsel on things that were common within these departments. Again, not replacing the other organizations with which Chris has a relationship. And that is kind of what prompted this request, to be able to serve in an official capacity to provide advice and counsel to Chris on the operation of the entire department. Thank you, Chris. I should also recognize that it was also natural when you look at, there are 3 ex officio members of the Civic Center Commission, 2 of which are the Sports Commission, which utilizes many of these facilities within the new department. And you also have the Explore Asheville, the TDA represented on the Civic Center Commission, and they, through TPDF, have invested funds in many of these facilities that are now under the department. So that was another natural reason for those 2 organizations having a vested interest in this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris and John. Do we have a suggested motion that's going to be on the screen for when it's needed? And then do we have any questions from the committee?
So I don't have any questions. I felt the staff report was pretty straightforward, but I'm in support and I have the suggested motion pulled up if you'd like to go that way.
That's great.
Are you ready for a motion?
That sounds good.
Okay. I move to recommend the adoption of amendments to Article 3, Chapter 2, Division 2, and Article 2, Chapter 11, Section 11 through 32, or 1132 of the City of Asheville Code of Ordinances regarding the Civic Center Commission.
And I'll second that motion. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Mosley?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that recommendation moves forward to council. Thank you so much, Chris and John, for your presentation today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
We'll move on to our next item of new business, and it's the request to amend the Asheville Buncombe. Sorry, do we have a hand up?
Sorry, I'm pushing too many buttons over here. We're good.
Making sure. Okay. So our next item of new business is the request to amend the Asheville Buncombe Riverfront Commission ordinance to revise membership. And I'll turn it over to Sarah for more information.
Excellent. And I too just have a quick presentation to talk through this. Again, this is request to change the membership of the Asheville Buncombe Riverfront Commission. There are two parts to this request. The first being to remove the county commissioner seat, and the second to appoint Councilmember Maggie Allman to the council member seat. So for that first part, the county commissioners have 3 seats, so this would be reducing it down to 2 seats for the county commissioners, and it's asking to remove that county commissioner seat. So if removed, the county commissioners themselves will still have the ability to appoint 2 different community members. And then the second part of this request is to appoint Councilmember Maggie Allman. There is a designated voting member seat for a council member on this board. So this would be to replace Councilwoman Sage Turner with Maggie Allman. And I also want to note that no other council members have expressed interest. All right, so here's the suggested motion if we were to move forward with both requests.
Thank you, Sarah. Do we have any questions from committee members? Okay, so I have heard some good advice that based on the, I guess, shared resource of our responsibility for our Riverfront Commission with the city and the county, that it is by some advised that we not remove the county seat. So there's not a person who's prepared to fill it at this time, that it is strongly advised that we keep a county commission seat here for future participant and to show the need. So I'm not inclined to support the first motion of recommendation. Perhaps we want to have a larger conversation at the council level. But do we have a motion to approve number 1 at this time?
Well, let me ask you this, because I do recall receiving an email from the chair. And Sarah, is it the desire of the county to remove the seat?
Yes, it was a request from the county.
So it seems to me if it's their request to remove their seat, I don't have a problem with granting their request for their seat. If I'm misunderstanding your thought process, please let me know, Kim.
No, I think that's the position of the current county commission. I guess we could reinstate it in the future if the county wanted to come back. But by removing the seat, I guess I'm concerned that the need or demand for our partnership here is removed. So that's why I am not wanting to move this forward with a recommendation at this time. So my best suggestion in this case would be that we could send it forward to the council for a further consideration tonight without a recommendation from this body, since we only have 2 members here today.
Okay. Because either way, there would be no second for either motion, essentially, is what I'm hearing.
Well, for the second one, I'm happy to move that one forward as a second motion. So, for example, a resolution appointing Councilwoman Maggie Ullman as a voting member to the Asheville Buncombe Riverfront Commission. I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay. So I'm happy to second if that's the motion.
And a roll call vote for item number 2 would be Councilmember Mosley.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So to clarify for the staff, I know you're having a script for tonight, and this will be part of our regular agenda. So I guess my request is that the script for the mayor tonight would note that we would need a motion and a second for item 1, but we do have a recommendation for item 2. Does that sound right?
Yep, that sounds great. And it is on this afternoon's council agenda.
Thank you so much. Okay, our next item of new business is a request to dissolve the Police Officers and Firefighters Disability Review Board, and I'll turn it over to Jerry for more information.
Thank you, Councilwoman Roney. So yes, back in I think it was 87, this board was formed to help distribute pension and disability funds to members of the Asheville Police Department and then the Asheville Fire Department or their survivors. At this point in time, the last meeting of the Disability Review Board was in 2001, and that at that time there were only a few employees, if any at all, who would have been eligible. Last month, the city's finance department confirmed that the city is holding no money associated for the Disability Review Board. And the Human Resources Department reviewed the demographics of both the fire department and the police department and confirmed there are no longer any employees or related beneficiaries eligible to receive the supplemental payments. Therefore, there really is no further need for this board. So what we are asking for at this time is a motion to adopt an ordinance amending sections 2-111 through 2-130 of the Asheville City Code of Ordinances to dissolve the Asheville Police Officers and Asheville Firefighters Disability Review Board. Are there any questions or concerns?
None here. What about you, Antoinette? Oh.
Sorry, none here. I was wondering, Jerry, is it sufficient to just say so moved since you just read the entire motion?
I'm so sorry.
No,
We do need one of you to actually make the motion. I mean, you could say so moved, yes.
okay.
So,
Because I don't have any questions. I don't know if.
so yes, you can say so moved.
So moved.
Second. And so we'll have a roll call vote. Councilwoman Mosley?
Aye.
Aye. And so the motion passes.
Apologies
Okay.
if I overstepped.
Oh, no, that's great.
No, that was fine. That's perfect even.
So now that wraps up our new business. We're headed on to informal discussion, and we have 2 updates from the clerk's office. So we'll move to Jerry, starting with annual reports from 2023.
Absolutely. And this will be short as well because you all received the annual reports and they were posted publicly so that you would have them for your retreat on January 30th. At this point, I really just wanted to highlight that in addition to the compilation report that we submitted to council, those that did not provide recommendations were not included in the compilation report. Their annual reports were linked, but there were no summaries. And I just wanted to urge, our boards have been doing some amazing work this past year, and really just wanted to encourage you to encourage your fellow council members to read through those reports because they did spend time on them. And some of the work that they're doing and some of the work that I'll point out the Deputy Clerk Sarah is doing to bring some synergies to these boards will be important moving forward. We had our first staff liaison meeting where we could talk as a group and see where there may be benefit to collaborative efforts on some issues and things that the boards are working on. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Jerry. Do we have any comments from our committee?
It's related, but not exactly on point. So first of all, thanks to all of the boards that presented their reports. This has taken me back to a suggestion I'd made before, and I just want to reiterate, because I'm the liaison to a board that doesn't necessarily have a perfect fit to a council committee. My hope is that we come up with a process whereby the council liaison is actually a member of the committee to which the board reports. Because I have been hearing there's a little bit of difficulty getting the recommendations to us. And since we're in that process of, we're using HCD and AHAC is like a test. And I believe that's going well because there's always an ear between each group. So I'm just throwing that out again, since we're talking about these reports.
Thank you, Antoinette. I always enjoy reading through the annual reports. I love when our neighbors bring their professional and lived experience to the table to help us sort through challenging issues. One of my favorite parts of this process is sitting as liaison with one of our advisory boards as they're going through the process of reviewing their year's worth of work. And I think that part of the looking back to see where you want to go forward is, celebratory, and it shows how much work we are getting done, though there's so much work ahead to do. So thank you to Jerry and Sarah and everyone involved with compiling this information so it's easily digestible and easy to find in one place, not just for our council body, but as part of the public record. It means a lot. Okay, and then the next we have board management software. So that's going to be headed to Sarah for the update.
Everyone get excited. So we are so excited to announce that we will be launching the new board management software. So your board packets will look different next month, so starting in April. So we just wanted to use this opportunity to just share a little preview of what that's going to look like, address any questions or concerns you might have. So I'm going to share my screen. Maybe.
And the materials are due Friday.
Materials are due Friday.
Oh,
Sorry, I just heard that.
that's the next cubicle over.
All right, Jerry, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Absolutely. So the spreadsheets you get currently, those are going to be going away. And what you will get two different reports. One will be the current, what we call resources, which is the applications. And that is what Shara is sharing now, what this looks like. So for instance, this is the audit committee. It will list each applicant by name, okay, with their contact information. And you'd be able to click on their name to open it. But even better than that, as Sarah scrolls down, is right there is their application. Continue scrolling, Sarah, if you would. If they've included a cover letter, keep scrolling, and or a resume. It's all right there. And then the next applicant and all of their information. So it's very easily accessible. It's very easy to read. You can click on if you need to open anything, but you really shouldn't because it's all here. Now, these members don't include the current application, which has, as you know, we previewed that, I believe it was the last meeting, where we've changed the questions. So it's much more about their lived experience and what they can bring perspective-wise to it. So that all of their answers will be right there in their application. All very easy to, it's just clean and neat. So before we go to the next report, are there any questions on this? I think you're going to like it a lot. Yes. Actually, Kim, yeah, go ahead. I'll ask your question, and then I've got something more to add on that.
Well, you go ahead, because I don't think I'll forget this one.
Okay. So what I wanted to say also, what using the current software will allow us to do, and I know this was brought up in the past, we can actually run a report. Let's say, like we're appointing April 9th, whatever date time we set up, we can run a report of applications that have been on file for that board for, let's say, 8 months, whatever. These are arbitrary numbers, of course, right now. And then we can reach out through this system and contact them to say, we still have your application on file. Council's going to be considering these for appointment on this date. Are you still interested? Because we have had just very recently 2 who were not. Hopefully that'll help eliminate those resolutions that then are for naught. So this gives us all kinds of ability to do those kinds of things.
It seems like one of the benefits of that too is because you don't have to manually enter and follow up with information. You can spend time doing things like circling back if there's an appointment that 8 or 9 months after someone applied. So it seems like a great use of time. One of the things that I was curious about, because I was, we were asked to kind of poke around and see if there were questions. It's such a great asset the way we've been doing it, and you've worked so hard to make this possible, to be able to see what kinds of professional and lived experience is already at the table while you have the new applications coming in. That is going to take some time to go in between. Are y'all going to upload everyone's information into the new software?
Okay, so let us get to, you're talking about current
let's say
board
that I've got
members.
somebody on, let's say we're looking at the Urban Forestry Commission and we've got for some reason, let's say we had 6 arborists and there's an application. You're like, oh, we should go with the arborist, but we already had so many arborists and we didn't have, let's say, a neighborhood seat or something. I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go. But being able to see the current resource map beside the future potential is a big part of my process.
Sure. So let's go ahead and go to the current membership and demographics report. And I think we'll get to your point.
Trying to be consistent with our words wherever we can.
All right. So, Sarah, can you expand this, blow this up a little bit? I think Control Plus should be able to do that. So this report was run for the Affordable Housing Committee, for instance, right? And what this report is telling you is there's 13 seats on this board. Who's appointed? Like, is it a city council appointed seat? Is it a Buncombe County appointed seat? For instance, we have arts agency on PAC or whatever it may be. Could be a commission appointed seat. So it tells you who the appointing entity is, and then their name, the current board members' names, the city they live in, the zip code, which we did not have on our former spreadsheet, which is why these are blank, but moving forward, the zip code will be there. Not necessarily important for this board, but it might be important for Neighborhood Advisory Committee or some others. So here, Kim, it shows their job title and their employer, whether they're a resident of the city of Asheville, and then the current information that we're already seeing, their how they identify their gender identity, ethnicity, their geographic area, their age, which will show moving forward in a range. It won't be a specific number, which the old application just asked their age. This is, are you 55 to 64, 21? It's a range that will be housing, and the options there are homeowner, rental, houseless, prefer not to disclose, or other. The term counter is this, for instance, if it's 2, this is their second full term they're serving. And then the date they started, and then their actual end date. So that's the information you would have in this report on the members. So with that,
You
does that
are
answer?
uploading all the
It's already done.
Oh,
If we
wow.
had it in the spreadsheet, if it was in our current spreadsheet, if we had that information at the time, then it has already been exported and updated to it. And that's what Sarah and I have been working on for the last several months.
Oh, thank you
Is
so
get
much.
that updated and all of that, and then getting these reports to the information we thought you would want and need for your decision making. So there's a lot more information in the applications now, not old stuff, but in the current new applications, we ask a whole lot more demographic information, but a lot of that is not going to be in the report because it's not going to be public facing, but it's there for demographic reporting, trending, and things like that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure. And then Sarah, if you'll go to the next page. Were there any more questions on that, the member and demographic?
No, I love that.
Yeah, it's real clean and sleek looking, and we can put graphs and charts and all kinds of stuff in there. So this is currently, so the web page that we have currently, the website, each board has their own web page, right? Currently. From that master web page will be a link to this. And here is where you'll see, most importantly, what's not included on the other are the contact information. So it will have the staff liaison's email and or phone number. It will have who the council liaison is with their email, no phone number, but email. And then the current membership which is listed down below. And I'm going to highlight, you'll see there's one red spot. That is a vacant seat. So people know immediately there's an opening. I mean, it's real visual that there's an opening on this board. And if we're accepting applications, that's up here in the top left. It says accepting applications, yes or no. We accept applications year round currently, so that should always be yes, but there may not be an opening, so they may want to wait. You know, so there's a lot more real easy to find information. And I really think it's going to serve our community well. I mean, it's all in one place. Like I said, clean and neat, sleek, but also make it a lot easier for this department and a lot easier for council time-wise to review things, because just it's all right there. We have made the application live as of last week. So currently, while the web pages are all still the same, if somebody goes to apply for a board, they are now getting the new applications. They've been coming in great. The process has been working as we expected. It's been going good. Yeah, I think it's going to be a vast improvement and free us up for some fun stuff.
Freeing us up for some fun stuff sounds good. Thank you for the investment of time and energy. Antoinette, do we have any ideas or comments for this part?
No, I was just, for some reason, it hadn't dawned on me that people applied at times when there wasn't a seat open. So actually, that's really helpful for me to know, which encourage people to apply. And then with the new system, you'll reach out to them regardless of however many months it's been to see if the person is. So I'm loving that part, especially. So thanks for
we
that.
won't reach out to everybody every time. Because so the process right now, we receive their application and they get through the system that your application has been received. It's successfully submitted. And then they get a board specific acknowledgement. We've received your application for this board, and it will say council is set to consider appointments on April 9th, or there are no openings right now. However, we will hold your application on file for 1 year should there be an automatic opening. And it states now, if your circumstances change or should you no longer wish to be considered, please contact us so we can remove you from consideration. Of course, they don't often do that, but we've added that in there. But what we will do is for applications that have been on file for a certain period of time, and we haven't decided operationally if that's 6 months or 8 months or whatever, then we will say, okay, they received their first acknowledgement saying there's no openings, or there's an opening. If you're not appointed, we will retain your application for automatic consideration for 1 year. 6 months later, now there's an opening, we'll reach out and say, are you still interested? Council will be considering this. So it won't be every time there's an opening, if there's an opening in 2 months or 3 months, but if, a certain period of time, whatever operationally we think makes sense, then we will be reaching back out.
Okay, that helps to clarify a little bit, because sometimes when folks are really super excited about participating and wanting to bring experience to the table, I'll go ahead and point them to the application process so that they're on deck.
Yeah.
And they can be part of the process. But what I'm hearing is that if, let's say, someone's interested in the Multimodal Transportation Commission, and I go ahead and point them in that direction, just because they went ahead and applied and it's on file for a year doesn't mean they'll get an email when the opening, if it comes up. Okay.
Correct.
So we're not at that point yet.
No, not yet. And I don't know that can be automated, but I'm thinking that probably cannot be automated. We can probably run a report, but it would the emails would need to be manual. So I don't know that we'll get to that point, but we can do it when it's operationally makes sense. If it's been on file for a while, just saying, you've been on file for 8 months, are you still interested? Kind of thing.
Right.
Usually
That's
it's
where,
those.
I guess some of the recent applications where we've appointed people and they're like, oh, I moved.
Yeah.
That was a little bit tricky. So maybe one day
Exactly.
eventually we'll get there, but
Yeah.
But thank you for the time and energy going into this. What,
Yes.
Sarah, did you have something else on your mind?
I just wanted to add, as we get to know the software a little bit better, it seems that this could be there is a fix. So we just got to get to know it better, and we can work towards getting that advance notice, letting you know the opening has become available. You've already applied. You will be considered. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay, that is all the items on the agenda for informal discussion. Do we have any other comments from the committee or staff?
Sorry. I just wanted to add on to that last item and give a huge kudos and thank you to Jerry. There's a lot of time going into putting in every board member, every application, and she really ensured that it was a smooth integration. Anytime we got new software, it's a big lift, and Jerry did it. It was awesome. So thank you, Jerry.
It was 3 years in the making and it feels great.
We've been talking about this for.
Thank you, Sarah.
Feels good. All right. So next up on our agenda, we have public comment. Do we have any speakers in the queue?
We do not have any speakers in the queue.
All right. Well, thank you everyone on the call for a smooth Boards and Commissions Committee meeting. I look forward to seeing everyone tonight at City Hall.